Ever since the beginning of the Mario Kart series, the developers have been consistently putting out at least 16 Nitro courses per game. Even though the 16 Nitro courses were very polished and fun, they weren't able to make any more as it took a lot of time and effort to design these new courses. So starting in Mario Kart DS, the developers decided to introduce the idea of retro tracks, which is rebuilding old courses from the ground up and giving them a new coat of paint. And even though the retro courses in DS weren't the best, it got to the point that in Mario Kart 8, the retro courses were able to stand toe-to-toe with the base game tracks. Many courses benefited heavily from being remade, like Ribbon Road, Waluigi Stadium, and Tick-Tock Clock. However, some courses have actually been downgraded when they were remade. Courses like Coconut Mall and Sunset Wilds are clear examples of this. However, there is one course that has consistently gotten worse over time, so much that it has lost its status as a fan favorite track. That track being Koopa Cape. Koopa Cape is a course that, despite not having an amazing theme, the gameplay, aesthetic, and music given to this course have given it the status of a fan favorite track. But even though this course was excellent in its original iteration, the course has slowly gotten worse as time has gone on. Today, I'll talk about the history of Koopa Cape, going over the layout, gameplay, changes made to the course, and why the newest version of this track is so hated within the Mario Kart community. Koopa Cape debuted in the series in Mario Kart Wii and was the second course to the Star Cup. The theme of the course is a mix between Koopas, rushing water, and tubes. It's nothing out of the box like Waluigi Pinball. This is still an interesting theme that hasn't been done in the series up to this point. But to see how the theme was pulled off, let's go over the layout. You start off the course by going off of a ramp with item boxes on it and land on a lower section. This section actually goes underneath a waterfall that, interestingly enough, we will actually ride on later in the track. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. After that, you go into a cave section with 2 ramps, Goombas, and some grass you can use for a shortcut. The Goombas are a nice obstacle, but I kinda wish that they were Koopas since it would actually enhance the theme a bit more. But they likely did this because Koopa is a playable character in all the games that this course is in. But I guess it's fine. After you exit the cave, you will do a left turn with a half pipe on the outside. This is nice to have as taking it can give you an extra item, giving you some options. After that, there's a ramp that leads to the main gimmick of the track, being rushing water. Mario Kart Wii's Nitro tracks have a habit of establishing mechanics through entire courses so that they would be familiar to the player whenever they came up again. Some examples include Mushroom Gorge with bouncy mushrooms, Toad Factory with conveyors, and DK Summit with half pipes. Koopa Cape is in a similar boat as it introduced a concept that would be added into other Mario Kart courses in the future, that being rushing water. Staying in the water will basically act like a conveyor, with the player being pushed along with the direction that the water is going in. This section is all about showing off that gimmick, as staying in the water will make you travel at fast speeds, with item boxes traveling alongside you. There's then a section with 3 different options. You can either stay in the water, take a ramp on the left, or go into a Koopa shell for an extra item. After that, there is some grass you can use for a shortcut on the left, which leads you to a split path. The left side has a ramp, while the right side has more grass that you can cut with a mushroom. After that, you'll take a steep slope down and ride the waterfall from the beginning. Again, this is a very cool detail I'm glad was included. But now, you finally get to the most interesting part about the track, the underwater tube. This section goes with a see-through aquarium aesthetic, and it looks great. This is also the first time that we get to see electric wheels that have the unique effect of actually shrinking you if it is touched, similar to getting shocked by lightning. The first one is pretty easy to dodge, as it is just used to introduce the player to the obstacle. But after that one, there's rushing water at the bottom of the tube, which means that you will now have to dodge electric wheels while going at fast speeds. This is a perfect way to show off the risk versus reward factor, as staying out of the water makes it easier to dodge the wheels, but going into the water is much faster. You then grab some items before jumping out of the tube. You are then greeted with a massive waterfall and a half pipe. Despite this being a cool visual, this also gives us one more function of rushing water. On the inside of the turn, there will be some rushing water that will push you off the road if you stay in it. But if you're able to go through it, you will have a faster route to the end of the track. This is a cool way to show off rushing water in a unique way. Most of the time, I'll just take the normal route and not risk it. And after that turn, the track is now over. Overall, it is pretty easy to see why this track is such a fan favorite. Not only does it show off a cool gimmick, it shows it off with cool scenarios that make the course always fun to race on. It makes people interested in what the developers will do with this concept in the future. Now with all of that established, let's see how this course was adapted into future games. Koopa Cape got its first remake in Mario Kart 7 and was the first course of the game's Lightning Cup. Lower resolution aside, the course does look pretty similar to how it looked on the Wii with its detailed mountains and trees. The first change I'll go over is the removal of the half pipes. While this is kind of sad to see, I do think that this change is completely understandable as the Mario Kart 7's engine does not support half pipes, so I understand why they were cut. I would rather have no half pipes compared to janky half pipes, as you'll see later on in the video. The other main change is that there is now a glider ramp at the jump before the river section. I am not a big fan of this change, as it encourages people to glide over the water instead of getting a boost with the water. You could just go down right away, so it's fine, but it was definitely a lot better just not being there. And that's it for all the changes in Mario Kart 7. There is one more change I will talk about, but I'll save that for later. So now let's talk about the other remake it got in Mario Kart 8. Koopa Cape was introduced to Mario Kart 8 through the Booster Course Pass, and was the third track of the game's Cherry Cup. The Booster Course Pass is known for having graphics worse than even courses from Mario Kart 7, and Koopa Cape in this game is no exception. The brown mountains and Play-Doh looking trees look terrible compared to the other versions of this track. I don't know why Mario Kart Tour decided to change colors and textures so much, because it gives this course such a bad start right off the bat. However, that's not the only change that this version got, as the half pipes are back. This might sound like a good thing, but half pipes are very janky in this version. Mario Kart 8's engine wasn't built for half pipes, so they weren't given the same amount of polish as the rest of the game. There is one change that is better than the 7 version, and that was the removal of the glider. Like I explained earlier, I personally did not like the glider, so I was okay seeing this go. So yeah, this course did slowly get even worse over time, but if it was just these changes, I wouldn't say it was butchered. But there is one more change that was in both of these versions that is the leading reason to why this course became so bad, or mediocre. So let's get into that. It is time to address the elephant in the room, which is the underwater section. In Mario Kart 7, they removed the top of the underwater tube, so now you are actually in the water as opposed to being surrounded by it. This was a terrible change, as not only is the cool aesthetic gone, for the sake of realism, they had to remove the electric wheels and the rushing water. Now the only obstacles are Cheep Cheeps that don't even damage you, so they are easily a way worse obstacle. I guess it is nice that there are obstacles to dodge, because with a Mario Kart 8 version on the other hand, doesn't have any obstacles. Instead, they now have a half pipe and the whole thing is now an anti-gravity. I already talked about how half pipes suck in Mario Kart 8, so let's talk about the anti-gravity. Actually, I do think that this is a nice change, as a tight space in the underwater tube makes it so that you will be able to bump into other racers a lot, which means that you will be able to get more speed boosts like you were able to get in the original. But that doesn't explain why Cheep Cheeps were removed, so this version is still definitely worse than 7's version. It's actually pretty sad to see this course get slowly worse over time. They turned something truly special into a course like many others, so now it's just any other course. Now that I've gone over all the different versions of Koopa Cape, it's time to rank them all. So here is my ranking of all the versions of Koopa Cape from worst to best. In last place, unsurprisingly, is Mario Kart 8's version. The terrible looking mountains and trees, combined with there being no obstacles in the underwater tube section, makes this the worst version. In second place is 7's version. The course does look better than 8's version, and there are actual obstacles in the tube section, but the original obstacles and aesthetics were completely gone. And in number 1, also unsurprisingly, goes to Mario Kart Wii's version. The aquarium theme, coupled with the rushing water and electric wheels on the track, make this the best version of the track. Even though Koopa Cape started off as a clear standout, it has gotten worse as time has gone on. As amazing as it is that the Mario Kart developers gave us this awesome track, I hope that if this course ever comes back, it will indeed be better. There is another track in Mario Kart Wii that has slowly gotten worse as time has gone on. One track that became the most popular course in Mario Kart, but that's going to be a story for another day. If this video does well, I will definitely make a video on that track in the near future. I hope you enjoyed the video, so please like, subscribe, and comment if I missed anything. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys on the racetrack.